All right.
And just like that, we are
Live again.
with the
Facebook hasn't
start
kicked us off yet.
with the Start Build Grow show. This is episode 27. Episode 27, guys. How's everybody doing
Wow.
today, man?
Awesome, man. Episode
Yeah.
27. This is it's kind of crazy, like, to think that it was just a seems like yesterday we just like, hey, let's start this little show.
Yeah.
And here we go. Now we actually kind of somewhat almost look like professionals.
Yeah.
You look like a professional.
We look
Mr.
like
Nick Rogan over there.
Nick Rogan.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean,
Yeah.
how's he doing with his hosting of this show? Let's start our comments off with that. Let's give Nick some love here.
Actually, no, I like that.
This guy just keeps getting better and better.
Okay.
And
so give me
dialing in his efforts as a podcast host, as a show host. He's the one playing and messing around with this technology, trying to get us better and better.
Right.
So I want to give a little props to my man, Nick. Nick Rogan over there.
I appreciate it, man. I'll definitely take Nick Rogan all day. I mean, Rogan's got the #1 podcast out there. But yeah, let's do that. Let's give me 1 through 10 on the hosting, right? Then maybe give me a 1 through 10 on my new shaved head. You know what I mean? And then I'll take those ratings and I'll use that as good feedback. All right.
We got someone in the background taking some notes on this, so we can get that going. So pardon my voice to this for this episode.
Yeah.
I was able to fulfill one of those bucket list items over the weekend, and I went to the CU Nebraska renewal of a rivalry, and it was every bit of an epic game, man. It was just
I was watching that on my phone. I was uploading it.
That, but awesome.
How'd that go down? That was in Lincoln, right? That was
in Lincoln. Yeah, in Lincoln, up and down the whole time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, towards the end, the quarterback, I think Martinez for Nebraska,
for the
got hurt at the end there, and we were able to just kind of squeeze one out. So it was an intense, really awesome, really fun game to be at.
Yeah,
and a little backstory on that. I don't know why we're talking about football, but we'll get into the good stuff here shortly at the Starbucks show.
Right? Yeah.
So the backstory is, I mean, they obviously, whoever's watched college football, and I grew up obviously in Colorado as a huge CU Buffs fan. So when I grew up, the huge rivalry in the 90s was CU versus Nebraska. I mean, I think anyone who follows college football knows that.
Yeah.
So they haven't even played each other since 2010. So this is like 9 years in the making.
Wow.
They're not even in the same conference anymore. So this was just like a renewed rivalry. It was a lot of energy and one of those ultimate bucket list items. So pardon my voice for being a little bit hoarse. I was yelling for my Buffs all weekend.
That's awesome. I'm actually going to my first CU game this weekend. I'm taking my cousin for his birthday. So hopefully that's good. I think they're playing like New Hampshire State. So I'm feeling pretty good about our chances there. But anyways, I mean, I figure we go into the meat of this thing, huh?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
We have a very special guest once again. You're the one that lines up the guests. How do you do this? How are you pulling these dudes in?
I don't know.
And women,
man.
actually, we've had a lot of good women on here too.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just a culmination of a decade of just building a network, man. I've been in the industry a long time. Made a lot of friends and connected with a lot of people, and it goes along with the whole surround yourself with like-minded people, right? And I'm always looking for opportunity to learn and grow from other people and find successful entrepreneurs to learn from them. Yeah. And what better platform than a show? So now it's like it's culmination of just a network that's been built, plus the appeal of, hey, let's talk about business and share our journey with our followers. So it just kind of works out that way. We came across this company and actually, hiding over in the background is Dave's old man here. He's the one who actually brought us together. And he reached out online. Yeah. We got connected back and forth. And you know what, man? Solar is something that's super interesting and super intriguing as an industry, as an add-on for the roofing industry. And I know as a roofer, there's a lot of questions I have, and there's a lot of things I'd like to learn more about solar. And it just made sense that we connected and we started learning about each other, and our businesses sync really well together.
Nice.
So it was like, hey, why don't we bring solar to the table? So that's how it came about. So I guess without further ado, our local solar entrepreneur, Mr. David Wyatt. What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Nick, I would give you a 10. So make sure you guys vote for a 10 on his new shaved head.
All right, let's get some emojis representing Nick's ability to host the show and his new shaved head. Andor.
Yeah, I love it. And Randy, I wish I'm a little jealous that I didn't get to make it to that game after.
Oh man.
After the long layoff, getting to watch CU win that was amazing.
It was
from a Colorado native. So
yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah, you know all about the 90s and watching Cordell and Rashawn Salam and all those guys back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Going against the Huskers every year, right? We won it a couple of years and then we just lost like 4 years in a row. It was rough.
Yeah, definitely was.
So right before we're gonna get into this, make sure you know the drill at this point. Share this out. Share it with your groups that you're in. Share it with anyone that you know that you think could benefit from a cool story, a fun show, and some entrepreneurial learning that happens when you watch this show. So make sure to share it out. We always appreciate the comments and the engagement. And if you have questions, go ahead and throw them in there. Nick's gonna be manning the computer. And
with the questions also, remember, we got someone here, we got a solar expert. We'll be diving into this a little bit more in the intro. But if there's anything you guys have in terms of questions about solar, make sure you guys are posting those, because we'll grab in those and we'll make sure that the experts are actually answering those, right?
Cool.
But I do want to do one more announcement, though. Actually, we got the Job Nimbus Solution Summit coming up. It's October 22nd, 23rd. So that's going to be in Austin, Texas. Do you know who the keynote is or no?
I heard it's some roofing guy that likes to talk a lot.
I heard it's the rooferpreneur, right? Randy Brothers over here, man, representing Colorado. So he'll be there as the keynote. Also, right now you have the early bird discount. So until September 14th, you're getting $50 off the tickets. And then at the end of that, what they're going to do is they're going to take everybody that bought that ticket and they're going to do a raffle, and they're going to refund one of those tickets.
Yeah.
So if you plan on going, make sure you're buying those tickets now, because it's already
2 days.
12th.
I think
That's
2 days
of
of doing the drawing for the free tickets. So get your tickets. Today.
Yeah. So
after you watch the show, of course.
After the show, don't leave now.
Yeah, don't leave now. Stick
we
with
needed
us.
the viewership. So, but afterwards, make sure that you're diving into that.
So awesome. I'll say what's up. Say hi to Joe. We got Josh. What's up, guys? Chris. Man, who else we got in here? Appreciate you guys. And without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into the story here.
You want to run the intro here for us, Randy? Get it going. Let's go.
Sure. Well, we did the introduction, so let's go ahead and dive right into the meat of it, man. You're like myself, Colorado native, kind of grew up in and around the area. Let's hear a little bit more about you, Dave.
Yeah, grew up here and was born in Denver, grew up in the Arvada area, went to high school there, left for a couple years for college. I went out to California for 2 years and came back, ended up graduating from Regis University here in Denver. After that, started my entrepreneurial life.
Yep. How early on did you get started in entrepreneurship?
I mean, growing up, always had some smaller offshoot type businesses, but nothing that I took too seriously.
Sure.
Until after
what was the coolest business you had when you were smaller? I can relate. I did a lot of that stuff when I was a little kid. I'd try to turn anything into a business.
Right. I mean, when I was in third grade, I'd sell beef jerky to classmates because they weren't snacks. I mean, stuff as far back as then. So
love it. Yeah, I used to sell blow pops.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I'd take my allowance and go to the local Sam's Club and get a big box of blow pops and fill my backpack and sell them for twice as much as you can get them out of a little machine.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was making a profit, but I was profiting, and my mom kept stocking the shelf with beef jerky, and I'd go out and sell it.
Makes sense. See, entrepreneurship starts early on.
So what's the profit margin on that if you're just taking it from your mom?
Perfect.
100%. I love that. That's a great business model.
Right. So after I graduated with a marketing and finance degree from Regis, I got into real estate. Real estate was kind of booming at the time. That's kind of the first step. Any sales avenue, you're ultimately an entrepreneur. You're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Sure. Absolutely.
And over the next 6 years, had some awesome times. A lot of growth, a lot of relationships that I've built. And then 2008 happened. That's one of those unforeseeable items that are going to hit you as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And then you have to kind of see where you can go. At the time, there wasn't a lot of people hiring, wasn't a lot of jobs to be found, and not a lot of opportunity because a lot of people were kind of strapped with cash.
Yeah.
At the time, there was a industry that was kind of starting to boom just because the laws had changed in Colorado for gaming. And so I trained myself how to deal craps, went up to Central City and dealt craps for about 9 months, ended up working my way through that type of corporate ladder, ended up being a table games manager for about 4 years, and jumped into another corporate job.
Yeah.
Always had that entrepreneurial bug, but that steady income was kind of appealing at the time, just because of life aspects.
I think let's elaborate there. I think there's a lot of we'll kind of sound we good on sound here. But I think there's a lot of people that can relate to that, right? There's a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people out here watching that want to start a business, and they're in the corporate, they're comfortable, they have bills, they got things they got to take care of, and they're not able to kind of take that dive, right? So I think a lot of people can relate to that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those. It's not something internally as an entrepreneur that you really like, but you appreciate it, especially if you're supporting a family, having that secured income. Ultimately, during that time period when I was working in corporate America, I was coming up with a plan. And all entrepreneurs need to come up with a plan before they try to take any action. If you take that step first and then fall on your face, you'll get discouraged. If you have a plan and you stick to it, even though you come across some roadblocks along the way, you know that plan is going to come to fruition in the end.
Yeah, I mean, the plan changes the second you get it finished, but it's having that kind of plan and or vision in place, right?
Exactly. And a lot of
there you go. Yeah, put it back in now.
Okay, go ahead.
A lot of during that time period, I kept those relationships from obviously college to my real estate days, to the casino days, and then even to my corporate job. I don't know if I should even say any names on where I work. But after 3 years finally working in the corporate world, I said, I have the plan. I know that this plan is not only going to help a lot of people, it's also going to give me peace of mind, which is where the name came from, that I'm doing the right thing for anybody that comes and works for and with me. I'm doing the right thing for my family, and I'm doing the right thing for my customers.
There you go.
And coming up with that idea, I knew that risking some of that security in the end is going to pay off. And ultimately taking that leap is going to be the biggest challenge for a lot of people that want to become entrepreneurs. And if you know that you're going to run into some roadblocks along the way, be resilient. You'll be able to overcome those. Don't give up, because 90% of what you're going to do right now, you're not going to see any payoff for it until down the road. Yeah. And then you're going to be doing 10% of the work and getting paid 90% of it from a financial perspective. Mm-hmm. Up front is where the battle takes place.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into that planning process a little bit, because I always try to ask, as you guys know, the question of that moment. So your moment was kind of a little bit of a longer, drawn out, meticulous process. And I love that, because I think a lot of people just get an idea, dive right in, guilty as charged. I've learned a lot of things the hard way, but through all that, I've learned that planning and business planning and planning every step, and even if those plans change, it's a key element to any sort of business strategy and or growth.
Right. Definitely. Having a plan and being able to stick to that plan is something that's going to keep you on track. Mm-hmm. Everybody has life, family, unforeseen things that are going to happen, but as long as you can revert back to a plan, even if that plan changes, have a direction in mind. And don't get me wrong, I view my real estate days as successful, but in the end, a failure or a roadblock that I hit, because income stopped coming in. Ultimately, that's why we run business, is to support our family, friends, coworkers. And So a failure I learned a lot from. So when you run into those failures, learn from it. Don't get bogged down.
Let's get some interaction here. We've talked a little bit about the I think it's better. The 2008, right? I was right in the heart of that, and it affected me. I lost everything. I hit absolute rock bottom. Sounds like it affected you pretty heavily. So who else? I mean, I know we have a lot of people out here, especially in the Colorado industry or the Colorado market that was affected by that, because all over the country, really. I was actually in northern Colorado. And at one point, I think in 2008, Weld County, which is where I was trying to build a business, was the highest foreclosure rate in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, talk about a tough uphill battle to try to build a construction company. That was definitely a challenge. So yeah, what's up? We'll get some interaction on that. Who else out there can relate to us, even if you're watching this in the playback. I know there's a lot of you that have done that for sure. So go ahead, Nick. What's up, man? You getting this audio stuff worked out?
Yeah, well, I think eventually I will. It might take me a while. I know how long it takes to get the video going. Now we're getting the audio going, man. But that was an awesome story, and there's a lot of good stuff about the value and whatnot. So tell us a little bit more about Peace of Mind Solar, what you guys are all about and stuff like that.
So Peace of Mind Solar came about ultimately as a sales force, commercial, residential type sales, and one of the things I learned from my previous entrepreneurial venture is don't pigeonhole yourself into one direction. Try to have multiple verticals. So that was the intent going in, knowing we were going to be flexible. So obviously we sell solar from a residential and commercial avenue, but we also do what's called detach and reset. Because here in Colorado, we are one of the heaviest hail populated areas in the world. And ultimately, there's a lot of roofs, and they're only going to get a lot more roofs that have solar. Anytime you have to re-roof, you're going to have to remove that solar to re-roof something. So we already had the backbone from our sales forces and found an avenue and a need ultimately, because there was a lack in the industry on getting these detaches for the roofing companies done in a timely fashion. So we already had the workforce in place to do it. Ultimately, we took it on. We were experts in installing.
Awesome. So you guys can install any system out there, right? Exactly. And I think we got some questions coming up that Nick's probably going to fire at you here too.
Yeah,
that's good.
So one of them, let's see here. So this is actually from our dude Joe. He says, "Is there a wind rating for solar panels?"
So ultimately, most panels are going to be rated up to 140, 150 degree or mile per hour winds. Okay. And that's not so much for the panel itself. That's for the bracketing systems. So you're either going to have a roof mounted system where it's bolted in, or you're going to have a ballast system on a flat roof, more of a commercial type scenario. And all of those are tested for heavy winds. You don't make any penetrations on a commercial roof, a flat roof, just because making penetrations on
you don't want to do that.
On a flat
so
roof is a bad
weigh
thing.
Them down, right?
So they're weighted down. I mean, here in Colorado, unless you see a massive tornado coming across, your panels are going to be fine. So
speaking of tornado, another question. Joe's got a funny one here too. The hurricane. We got this hurricane. Where everyone's on the. We just hope and pray that nobody gets. That there's minimal damage, of course, but obviously it's coming. We got a hurricane coming, and there's going to be solar damage, and we got some questions on that. Like what kind of damage can be expected on that sort of, what does a hurricane do to a panel?
So the hurricane, the rain, the winds aren't really going to do much to a panel. It's the shrapnel that's coming around, getting blown into them. Something's flying at over 150 miles an hour that weighs more than 3 ounces has a chance to break a panel.
Sure.
In most hurricane type scenarios, the solar systems are quite frankly going to be the least of the customer's worries.
Yes, I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately that'll land on insurance, but for example, some of these hailstorms out here where we've had tennis ball or larger size hail, we'll look at a array of 25 panels, and most of the time we don't see any broken panels. Once in a while, we'll see one out of the 25 broken. And ultimately, that's because those panels are man-made, and there's going to be a flaw. And one out of every 1,000 panels or 2,000 panels is going to have some kind of flaw.
Yeah.
So
they're pretty resilient.
They are very resilient nowadays.
Really resilient.
Yeah, I mean, you could drive trucks over.
Now Joe's trying to be funny over here. And what happens if a Buick is tossed onto a roof and damages the panel? Does that cover under warranty or what?
Yeah, your insurance, I promise you, will cover that. My question is, how that Buick get up there?
The hurricane.
There you go. Yeah, so I mean, any disaster, your insurance is going to cover what's on your roof.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if you actually know this question, but we do have one from Josh again that says, "What's the size of the South Carolina market?" Do you have any idea of the market out there?
It is. North and South Carolina are very large solar states, as we put them. They're both in the top 10, just because of price points on where they're having to pay for their electric from their local utility companies, made it more appealing previously, and it's carried on. It's here in Colorado, it started off as more of a lifestyle, even though the price point wasn't there. Now it's come down to a point where you can actually save a lot of money by going with solar.
Gotcha.
Previously,
and you're taking the rebates and that sort of thing. The governments and the local jurisdictions tend to kind of get involved, and does that, contribute to this top 10 that we're talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. Different states are always going to pop up with different types of rebates. Those are going to push solar very quickly. Here in Colorado, for that matter, around the entire nation right now, there's a 30% tax credit for any new solar system that's built. So, I mean, an average system right now in Colorado is, let's just say, right around $20,000. Automatically, next year, you get a $6,000 tax credit.
Really? Oh, so wow, that's cool. I was just going to ask, how does that exactly work? Because I know it seems to change every year, every couple of years.
Yep.
And so right now, that's huge. That's huge savings.
It is. Right now, it is 30%. The way the bill is written is it's going to start tiering off. So 2018 and 2019, you're at 30%. Then it goes to 26%, and it's going to be totally gone by year 2021. So it's going to start tiering off. That's from a residential standpoint. Commercial is always going to have a 10% tax rebate or tax credit, not a rebate. And from a residential standpoint, you can carry that over 3 years. So if you can't utilize all 6,000 of it in that $20,000 scenario, then you'll be able to use $2,000 every year. So ultimately, it's whether you owe Uncle Sam or Uncle Sam's already taken that money from you. Well, if you're a W-2 employee, you're able to get that back.
Cool.
It's brilliant. I mean, the government's paying for 30% of your system right now.
That's a great time. It seems like it's a great industry, a great time to be in solar when you have that sort of 3-4 years of incentives like that right. Really helps drive the business and create opportunity for the industry.
Right.
So we talk about this list. What kind of goes into I don't know if you know more or you even know that list. Like what's some of the best states that have some of the best advantages for solar?
So they evolve with different incentives from different cities, different counties will even put on incentives. California had some of the best incentives out there. So that used to be one of the top ones. Right now in the Northeast, just because the price of electricity is so high from their local utility companies, right now, just that 30% tax credit is beneficial enough for them to jump in. So Northeast, California, Arizona, North Carolina is a very big one. South Carolina is in the top, and Colorado. We get so much sun here in Colorado that people assume that because we have mountains that we don't get a lot of sun from elsewhere. But you're going to have maybe 60 days in a year that are cloud covered that you're not going to get any
actual real usage out of it.
Real usage, right?
The whole 300 days of sunshine thing here is real.
Yeah.
that's what brought Nick here, and now he's stuck, huh?
Well, I mean, think about it, man. I was in Wisconsin, right? And then the snow's sitting there all winter. It's getting gray. It's getting real cold. -10 below wind chill, -15 below wind chill. So I headed west, man. But then Portland, I was in Portland for a while. There's no sun there. I don't know how good solar is going on there, but man, not much sun there, man. And then I went to the Bay Area, and then it's overcast there all the time. So I ran over here. But we actually have a couple more questions here. What about on average, what's like the length or return on investment for the homeowner to kind of get that cost recouped with solar?
Good question. The average right now with the price of panels, installation costs, whether you're roof mounted or ground mounted, you're looking at anywhere from 8 years to 12 or 13 year payback. Mm-hmm. But those panels, they all have manufacturer warranties of 25 years. We offer a lifetime of the system, workmanship warranty on top of ours, but we've seen panels out there for 30, 35 years. So ultimately, you're locking in what you're currently paying. So if you're paying $150 a month on your electric bill right now, you're locking in that cost. You're not going to be at the mercy of the 4% utility rate increases every year. For example, in that 150 marker, at year 15, you'll have probably paid about $45,000 to the electric company, whereas you could have paid just 2/3 of that and owned an asset on your house that increases your house value.
Yeah. I mean, I just bought my home a year ago. Excuse me, where we're sitting, and part of the appeal was there was a 20-year prepaid like solar package. So I inherited someone else's solar package, and I got 15 years left. So it's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was definitely appealing as a consumer.
We got some other good questions here.
Yeah, lots of great questions, guys. Appreciate that, man. This is definitely some good interaction.
Okay. Does a location's proximity to the equator change the solar ROI, or does the state and local government via tax credits, etc., have a greater impact?
So the closer you are to the equator, you're going to have more arrays on your property. Here in Colorado, you want to have something south facing, whether it be southeast, southwest, or directly south. Those are going to be your most efficient arrays. Mm-hmm. Typically, we don't like to put anything on a northern array just because the price of the panels and the ROIs don't line up at this point. You can, if you're going more for the green aspect than the return on investment aspect, but anything with even just a 1 degree south facing is something that we in Colorado will utilize. If you're closer to Costa Rica, I mean, you're going to get 4 times the amount of sun power just because you can put it basically anywhere on your roof.
Right.
What was the second part of that question? I apologize.
Oh, no, you're good. Okay, let me take this back. Okay, so I'll just repeat the entire question again. So does location's proximity to the equator change the solar's return on investment, or does the state and local government via tax credits have a greater impact?
So the tax credits from a return on investment standpoint, any state is 30% right now. But what does factor in is anytime you have a grid tied system, you're involved in what's called net metering. So your system is going to be generating, say it generates 10,000 kilowatt hours, and you're utilizing 10,000 kilowatt hours. Here in Colorado, we get a 1-to-1 offset. There are some states that you generate 10,000 kilowatt hours and you can only pull out 7,000. So they're kind of taking some of that
taxing away. Those hours.
Exactly. So other states, I mean, Hawaii has a 0. If you make it and don't utilize it, then you lose it. Basically, you're just feeding it to. Yeah. So those states, it's more beneficial to have battery backup systems, that sort of thing. Here in Colorado, being 1-to-1, the energy company gives you exactly what you made from an energy standpoint. So.
Yeah. So, and we've got another question. I also have one too that leads up. We've talked a little bit about that. Is kind of the difference between, like you mentioned something about that has to do with the metering, and so some solar companies kind of host their own energy, and you're purchasing it from them, or is it just tied into the government grid, if you will?
So it is tied in. A grid tied system is tied into here in Colorado, the major
Excel,
players
yeah.
Excel. So you're tied into their grid. So you're feeding that grid. Every kilowatt hour you put into it, you can pull out without any charge.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. So
There's a couple here. Did you say?
yeah, go ahead. I lost a.
No, you're good. So did you just go over the one that Joe just added with the free solar one, or is that a different question?
Yeah, I want to get more.
Okay, cool. Because and then Pendy is actually another good one too, about more of the business aspect that I want to dive into. So there's a company. Let's see, you turned down a bit, but there's a company near me offering free solar, where they install their panels on a homeowner's roof. Homeowner would pay the solar company, not the electric company. This model is not a retail model. The homeowner would not own the panels. Have you seen a model, or can you collaborate on the pros versus cons of this model?
So the pros of that, I mean, obviously, if a company's offering you free solar, take it. More than likely, that's not actually happening. The downside of what I can see from that question is the owner of the panels gets the tax credit. So they're basically utilizing your roof for that tax credit. I promise you, they're going to be making something on that. I would check to see if there's any escalator clauses on what you'd be paying them from a rate standpoint, from a kilowatt hour standpoint. Because if they're going to be charging you more than what you're going to be paying from your local utility company, then it probably isn't the best option for you, because they're utilizing your roof for the tax credit ultimately.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
All right. So I think this is kind of a question for both you guys, possibly. Right?
Bring it on.
This is more of the business side of things. All right. So do you guys partner with other contractors, and how do you choose one or how many?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what brought us together, actually, is the opportunity. And there's just so much continuity with roofing and solar. We as a roofing company have, ran into a lot of hiccups with, these large solar companies not being able to facilitate these detach and resets for months. Like we literally have companies saying they can't even get there till next year. And we have a roof like ready to roof that we can't do anything with, because they're kind of locked into this contract or this kind of lease or this agreement where it was thought that you have to go back to that, whoever installed it, or your warranties are voided. And that's not necessarily the case anymore. So that's kind of what brought us together. So I'm going to go ahead and divert back over to David on this one. Because that's kind of where this whole opportunity came with the whole detach and reset. It was like a whole new vertical that was created by this happening.
Yeah. So, we love partners. We're always going to have partners in other contracting areas, and ultimately building those relationships is going to be huge. From a DNR perspective, it does, what we've been able to do is create a ease of business for a lot of roofing companies. A lot of those contracts that you were talking about where people say that they are going to be voided. I won't mention any names on here, but a certified solar technician, and the certification you're looking for is NABCEP. It's the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. In 99% of those contracts, from a leasing perspective, for the homeowner, those contracts, from a maintenance agreement to warranties, are not voided so long as you have that certification.
So that's the key.
Yeah. So, the certification obviously does tell the lien holder or the leaseholder that the job is going to be done correctly. And they're actually, a lot of those leasing companies right now are saying, please go do it. We're sick of our phones ringing off the hook. Hire this third-party customer or contractor, because we can't get to you till February.
Yeah.
And we're, 5 months away?
Yeah. And that's just pigeonholing everything, right?
Right.
For roofers and for consumers, really. I mean, these people don't want to get hail damage. They don't want to get their roofs damaged, or they don't want to have to deal with taking solar off, putting it back on. they don't want to have to deal with that, let alone have to wait 6 months for it. So you're able to you're able to kind of fill that void and create a little business model to do that, right?
Exactly. That's one of our verticals, one of our streams of income, one of our streams of keeping our employees working and not sitting in the office twiddling their thumbs. Because in between, residential, commercial jobs, prior to taking on this vertical, we had some downtime. And as a business owner, that's extra expenses that you don't need to carry. So finding where you can fill those gaps with certified professionals, and a need was perhaps luck, perhaps
there's
whatever you want to call it.
There's a different interpretation of that. I just did the whole luck thing. I have a different perspective on that because I believe that you create your own luck by hustling and by putting yourself in a position to not only see opportunity but capitalize when opportunity presents itself.
Sure.
When you're just sitting back waiting for things to happen, that's not going to happen. You're not just going to get lucky and a business is just going to fall in your lap, right? You got to go for it. You got to put yourself out there, and you got to always be learning, growing, looking for opportunity. And then when things pop up, when opportunity presents itself, boom, that's the luck. That's the luck in entrepreneurship.
All right. You're ready. Well said.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So you started talking a little bit about commercial, and it kind of sprung up a question about it. So what are the most common commercial buildings with solar?
The most common ones right now are going to be schools, fire departments. We have hospitals here in Colorado, the stock show. But ultimately, where you're going to get a lot of help and helping the end consumer the most are schools. Schools have their power on a lot, and quite frankly, it's an expense that the school boards don't need to have. If they can cut down, they're going to pay over the next 30 years in half on electricity. That's a big savings for them. That could help them hire more teachers, whatever they need that extra money for. So municipal buildings. From a commercial building aspect, a lot of those ones are going to be in the educational arenas.
Gotcha. So I'm sure we have a lot of educational higher ups watching the show right now. So for those of you that maybe not existent, but if you do watch this show, give Peace of Mind a call, because they also specialize in commercial.
We're going to take their website. I'm going to link it in the comments, so check it out.
So I was kind of waiting to see if this question was stimulated there, but we're talking about this detach and reset, but there's obviously a correlation to insurance as well. What are you seeing out there? Because this is obviously something that's been kind of a gray area for a while. Sure. What's the market value? What's the insurance going to pay? Like, how much does it actually cost? What is the logistical side of it? Like, what does it actually take to do this? What are you seeing so far when it comes to dealing with the insurance companies and the responses, and or give us some advice on how to tackle that?
Sure. So there was a very large solar company out there that had told a lot of their customers that it was going to be $500 for any detach and reset. Insurance companies kind of bought into that. They didn't know that wasn't the case. So a lot of this process is training a lot of the adjusters, knowing how much it actually costs to do a DNR. Give you an example. We have to do a detached portion. You're looking at 3 certified techs taking 3 to 4 hours to take off the panels. Then you have the same crew, three guys or ladies, to go take it off or to reinstall it after the fact. But then you have, anytime you have bent metal, you don't want to reuse bent metal. It loses its integrity. So you have lag bolts, you have critter guard, a lot of those things. Flashings are huge. It's a major expense that aren't usually considered by an adjuster up front. And being able to talk to the adjuster logically, telling them, here's our line item. This is what it actually costs us to do this. We can't accept $500. That's when that opens their mind. And especially when the homeowner gets involved, saying, my company says, I'm not going to get this done for 5 months. What happens if I get a leak? Insurance companies take that a little bit more seriously, especially when they know that there could possibly be a leak and then freezing underneath, and with the winter months coming. So that's educational process for a lot of the insurance companies.
Teaching them like, hey, we had it wrong. This is really what's going on and how we really need to address this problem.
Right. Exactly.
I got a question too, actually. Yeah. So do you have any advice to roofing companies out there in general, anything about solar that could kind of help them with their business and deal with solar?
From a DNR perspective, don't let it hold you up. There are other options out there. You don't have to stick with who originally installed your customers' panels. Exactly. And from a roofing aspect, that is a whole separate vertical that you can kind of tap into. You're already talking to the customer. Why not find out if they want solar? Reach out to your local solar company, or us, if you're here in Colorado, and find out if there is an avenue to make another vertical of income stream for you.
Yeah, very cool. Because there's a lot of roofers out there that do roofing and solar, and I'm sure they're kind of tackling this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely an intriguing opportunity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool, man. So what about the business side of things? I think we should dive into some more business questions and stuff like that. Hey,
Sure,
okay, Randy, what about for you, man? What's the best way when you were getting going? What was the best way for you to get customers? And maybe even still is. What's the best way for you to get customers right now?
The same way I ended up in front of this mic with him, networking. Mm-hmm. It's was the start and the continuation of business and success is all about who you know. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but the more people you know, the more relationships you have, the more solid relationships you build, the better off you impact and or learn from one another. Yeah. The more solid the opportunities become and the more frequent they become. And that correlates directly to starting a business. Is you've got to make your market know that you exist.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that?
It starts with just door to door, hand to hand, not door to door necessarily, but in the theoretical sense. Yeah, a lot of us do door to door. But door to door is also in business. It's you got to be connecting with other businesses to try to make alliances. You got to be looking for strategic centers of influence that can bring you lots of leads. Those sort of things. So it's hand to hand combat, like we like to talk about. Is you got to put yourself out there, meet people, get to know people, and don't be afraid to ask about, hey, what can we do to work together? What can we do to help this company grow? Or ask people to take a chance on your vision and your company. You'll be surprised. People will get behind you and get in on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you can't tell, Randy's pretty good sales marketing. That's kind of his thing. Definitely pretty solid.
Water to a well.
So what about you? And I apologize. How long have you guys been in business again? And what's been the best way for you guys to be getting new customers, new opportunities?
So Palm Solar was formed beginning of this year. So we're going on 9 months.
Congrats.
It was a brainchild for long before then, putting everything into plan, but we actually put the boots to the ground beginning of this year. Cool. And ultimately, I used a lot of the connections throughout my history. I helped create some CRMs for some roofing companies, developed a lot of relationships way back in 2009, even when I was working at the casino. Maintaining those relationships has been beneficial. All of our business has some kind of networking involved. The biggest thing that I had to overcome was reaching out to them and asking for that opportunity. Hey,
door knocking.
We're friends. We're friends. We know each other.
Boots on the ground. It's the same thing. I mean, we got the silent assassin over here. He's filming too. He's the one.
That's
found me the same way you did.
That's LinkedIn, what I'm curious about, man, right there.
Yeah.
This silent assassin, the dude who won't even come on camera, but He's deadly though. It sounds like he closes deals, baby.
He gets it done. He connected us and he
LinkedIn or what?
yeah.
LinkedIn?
And honestly, a testament to that is, and I was really proud of that because he was like, we purposely looked and sought out as many companies out there. We wanted to find a company to work with that had the same values, the same, level of just professionalism that we're striving for.
Yeah.
And they chose us, which is kind of cool.
Right.
And it was also a good way to close, right? A
Yeah.
good way to get in the door is like, hey, I looked at hundreds of roofing companies and you're the one I called.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a discussion, I guess. Right. And then next thing you know, it was a great opportunity. And we were, it was a demand, supply and demand. We needed the service. Like we were having a lot of issues overcoming these big companies that rhyme with Circuit City that were having a lot of trouble, and they were pushing clients out, and it's just doing a disservice to our customers. It's doing a disservice to the homeowners.
Yeah.
So it just kind of worked out. It was pretty cool.
Cool, man. That's what's up. Okay, so one thing I do want to touch on here, kind of as we slowly get to the ramp it up or ramp it off, ramp it down. What am I trying to say?
Wind it down.
Wind it down. Let me do
You've been watching too many Joe Rogan podcasts.
I think so, man, or maybe not enough because I'm not dialed in.
Not enough. You need to
as we wind this thing down.
podcasting.
Yeah, as we wind this thing down, we try to leave this thing with a key takeaway for business owners, right? So anybody who's in the contracting world, what's a takeaway that they could take and then actually go implement in their business?
Ultimately, I would say, don't stop after you hit those roadblocks. Continue trying to build. More time you spend away from your business, especially at the beginning, is the slower it's going to build. I know everybody does have families, friends that they like to spend time with, but you have to make that decision as an entrepreneur. Am I willing to sacrifice this for a short period of time so I can have the benefits down the road? Or am I not? And I want to sit back and enjoy watching the tube or whatever. I chose the first one. I wanted to do something now so I can enjoy watching, my family grow.
Yeah, same thing here is and I had the discussion just the other night, and we were talking about, like, I know it's challenging. There's a lot of, my biggest challenge is this work-life balance right now. Multiple businesses, startups, like just helping, consulting, doing all this stuff now. It's like I'm all in. Right. So that would be my add on to what you're saying, in the spirit of the casino world. You got to go all in. If you really want to start a business, be prepared to go all in. Yep. And those challenges that you face, you also got to be prepared to pivot early and pivot often, because the smaller your business is, you got to compare it to like a little speedboat, right? Your business is small. You can turn it around. You can do all these different things. As that business grows, that ship gets bigger, and in 1 degree means a lot more than it did back when you were small and versatile as a business.
Great analogy. I love it.
Well, cool, guys. I think that kind of wraps it up right there, huh? Wraps it up. That's what I was trying to say.
Wraps it up. Yeah. So I might as well, let's go ahead and give a book away.
Okay. How are people getting this book?
I don't know. The next person to post a really funny meme of Nick.
Yeah, of me.
Of Nick.
I feel like that's going to be
a Nick meme for his new style and his dominating ability to run these shows.
I'm going to be honest, man. I was talking to one construction company, right? So I have a marketing company, and I was trying to get them as a new client, right? And one of the people who heads their sales and marketing department there, she said I was very fashionable. Okay. She said I got good fashion. So you can take that as you will.
Man. I agree. I'm going to have to adjust my fashion sense.
Yeah. So if you want, I'll give you some consulting on that, man. If you want. And I know we got this big keynote at the John Nimbus Summit Solution here coming up in October 22nd, 23rd in Austin, Texas. If you want, I can hook you up with a slick fit, man. I'll get you looking good. I'll get you selling more courses. I'll get you selling more books. I'll make it happen for you, man. I'm telling you. All right.
See, little does our audience know, about 30 minutes before we went on the show, I was in a t-shirt and sweatpants
and slippers. I'm pretty sure too.
And some slippers for sure. Usually I have them on. Actually, when I even on, should have kept them on. But yeah, I'm built for comfort, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm built for comfort.
Yeah, right.
At this age.
You know what? I do want to actually go to this one question that Josh had.
Okay.
He had another good question. What do you think about Tesla shingles?
I think ultimately it's a great idea. There's ROI issues that come across with a Tesla shingle. If you want to buy solar power, there are less expensive ways to do it. You're buying a name at that point. I mean, there's also the Tesla Powerwall. That's a battery backup system. A lot of people don't want to show off their batteries, and they're happy to tuck them underneath their benches in their garage for half the cost. So ultimately, that's the decision that you, the consumer, has to make. You're willing to pay more for the same technology.
Essentially, yeah. Same thing with a car. You buy a Tesla car.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying for that car. I actually, believe it or not, I wandered into one of the malls locally, and I was, let me just for shits and giggles, let me just play with this little Tesla building thing, and I built a pretty sweet car. But by the end of it, I was like, nope, I'm not dropping.
How much did the thing cost you?
It was $135,000.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, check, charge, cash, whatever.
Yeah, I guess you're good to go, man.
Yeah, I wish.
Well, cool, guys. Hey, I appreciate all the great questions. Joe and Josh, man, all stars. Pendy, thanks for chiming in there. Really appreciate it. Hey, if you guys are, in the roofing space, or you guys are curious more about anything to do with solar, make sure you guys are reaching out to these guys, right? Peace of Mind Solar. They're out here locally in Colorado. So make sure you're checking them out. Like I said, only 9 months old. They're grinding it out, making it happen. So we really appreciate you coming in, Dave. Best of luck. Congratulations on everything. Rand, I don't know if you got anything else to wrap it up quick.
Nope. I'm just going to give you a sales pitch.
Oh, sales pitch.
Sales pitch.
If you're
now
still
I'm trying
on.
to close you.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about roofing and talk about how I can help you, start, build, and grow your roofing company virtually, and not only train you on the business side, but also train you on your sales team. I can actually train your sales team for you. Check out our virtual training platform on theroofingacademy.com. That's it. There's the pitch.
Check it out. Cool, guys. This was episode 27 of the Start Bill Gross Show. Make sure you're posting a meme of me, right?
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to laugh at Nick.
I'll put it in the comments.
Laugh at Nick, and I'm going to.
So if somebody can make fun of me via meme or GIF or whatever, if you're able to make fun of me whatsoever, make sure you post it there, and you will get a book signed, sealed, and delivered.